Shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back to episode 16 to Reading with SHILO. This is episode 16. What's up? What's up? Man, look at that little. This is episode 16. We're about to finish rolling through chapter 9. Chapter 9 of the Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James. The book about Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution, man. We in here doing our thing tonight, man. We're going to finish off. We got about 6 pages, I think it is. 6 pages to finish off. When you come on in, man, like, dust your feet off, wipe your feet off at the door. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, SHILO out here reading shit. Let's read, though. Let's read. Let's be better. Let's succeed. You have all that you need to succeed. Let's do so. Let's do so. We need to do so. We have to do so. We must succeed. And if not for you, for those that come after us, we must succeed. We must succeed. So let's do so. Man, I got a headache. Something wrong. Anyway, man. Hope everybody's had a wonderful day. It's been storming out here. I mean, tornado warning after tornado warning. Oh, the wind blew down my gazebo. Oh, Lord, I had to flip it. Oh, the wind flipped my shit. The gazebo is out of commission. It's not to be saved. It can't be saved. I got to lay it to rest. Like I laid that possum the rest of the night trying to get my chickens. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, shit happens sometimes. Shit happens sometimes. That's why I got me. Good thing I got me an extra when I did. But anyway, we're going to get back into Mr. Toussaint. And chapter 9 is the expulsion of the British. Mr. Toussaint was doing his thing. Damn, I ain't been sneezing all day. I get back here, I feel it. Oh, shit. Oh, man. I get back here and I feel it. The expulsion of the British, man. We were reading pretty good. Oh, no, I wasn't reading good last night. I was damn near, I was out of there. I was out of there yesterday. All that sneezing and shit. Hit the deal. But, hey, we're going to push through the night. Yeah, we got about 6 pages. About 6 or so pages to read. It's going to be about an hour. About an hour, man. An hour or so. So, man, let's kick it. Let's kick it. Let's get into it, man. We're going to do some shit tonight, man. I'm going to do 100 things tonight. I ask of you to do 25. Hey, shit, fuck it. Move yourself up to 30. It's time for y'all to move up to 30. Y'all been doing 25 long enough, man. Get off your ass. Let's do some shit. Let's work our body, work our mind, and work our body. That is the routine and the habit that I'm trying to build. And hopefully, if you're watching the channel and have been part of the channel, you're trying to do the same. That you're trying to build a better habit and build a better you. We got to do so. We have to do so. I have to do so. Shalom. Was it Aiden? Shalom. Shalom. Welcome. Welcome. So, man, we got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing. One day at a time. One book at a time. It's a little bit at a time, you know, until we get to where we can be proud of ourselves, happy with what we are. Anyway, I asked 30 things. Do 30 things, whatever it is. 30 things. Do whatever it is. Whatever it is to help move your heart, move your body. Move your body, get your heart pumping. Let's get your mind warmed up and ready to accept the words that Mr. C.L.R. James has laid before us, man. Has laid before us. Hopefully it can help motivate us. Hopefully the things that he talks about, we can unearth the treasures and expose the lies within our stories by Mr. C.L.R. James. Let's go. But 25 or 30 things, that's what I ask of you. 30 things. I'm going to give you 100. I'm going to give you 100 things, man. I don't care. I'm the captain of the ship, so I got to give a little bit more. I was doing 50, but I got to move my stuff up, man. It's time to do 100 things. So I'm going to give this damn, I think I'm going to do 100 knees. 100 knees on the thing until that dummy say, please stop. Please stop. No more. But he ain't going to never tell me that. So let's get it, man. Y'all do y'all 30s, and I'm going to do my 100. I'm going to do my 100. I could do with my necklace on. Shit, I ain't tripping. Let's get it, man. 30 things. 30 things. I'm going to do 100 things. Let's get it. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 33. Oh, I'm out of breath. 33, 34, 35, 36, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 3, 44. Oh, I'm slowing down. 44. 50. That's 100. Huh? All right, I gave you 100. Whew. I gave you 100. I only asked of you to do 30. 30 something. You ain't gonna do what I do. Whew. Just give me 30 something. Just get off your behind and do something. Whew. That is the routine, the habit I'm trying to build within the Reading with Shiloh episodes. Trying to work my mind, work my body, work my mind, and then work my body again. And since I did 100 things or 100 knees, I'm going to do 100 more on the way out. That'll put me at 200 things for this episode. Shalom, official Leo. Shalom. Whew. Out of breath. That means I need to work some more. That means I need to work some more. What if this was a fight? I'd be huffing and puffing. Shit. But we're going to huff and puff and read what Mr. C.L.R. James has said about Mr. Toussaint Louverture. And finish off chapter 9. Finish off chapter 9. The expulsion of the British. The expulsion of the British. Whew. All right. Let me catch my breath right quick. Shit, man, my day was all right. I got shit done. The wind been howling and blowing stuff over. I lost my gazebo. Oh, my gazebo. Hey, it is what it is. But it's going to be even better once I succeed and read, because you have all that you need to succeed. I have all that I need to succeed, and I must do so. So once I succeed and finish off with a little bit by finishing chapter 9, it'll be a better day, much better day, much better day. Shit has got accomplished. So let's go. Chapter 9, which is the expulsion of the British in the Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James, Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution. All the whites you can tell, but I ain't gonna read it right now. I'm about to read this. That's what we're about to do. Read this. You can put it if you want. Every message in the chat helps, but hey, I'm gonna read. All the whites in the West Indies, quaking at the bad example Toussaint and his blacks were setting, viewed with dismay the idea of Madeline coming to terms with the black, and none more so than the Earl of Barcares, governor of Jamaica. And all through the negotiations, he was petitioning Madeline not to evacuate Moulay St. Nicholas, but Toussaint wanted to get Moulay St. Nicholas without bloodshed. And he wanted a trade agreement with America, which he could get only if the British fleet allowed it. So while he negotiated, he sent message after message to fractious Balcarres, warning him that Jamaica was very near to San Domingo and that he could easily send more blacks across in canoes to burn down the plantations and to start a revolt. Now, Balcarres would naturally inform Madeline of this, and Madeline, the soldier, could appreciate these threats. And either the British must conquer Toussaint, or they must conciliate to him. And Madeline knew that Toussaint could not be conquered. And he therefore informed Toussaint that he wanted to communicate with him on some important subjects. And Toussaint left him in no doubt as to what he was wanted. Now, I hope it is to announce the definitive evacuation of the points that the English still occupy in this portion of the Republic. And it would be the only means of stopping or retarding my march. And although Jeremy is so strong, I promise you to upset its fornications or its fortifications. If it costs me 2,000 men, I shall take it. On this, Madeline agreed to evacuate Jeremy, and Toussaint secured from Houdeville authority to carry on these new negotiations and sent his representative to Madeline to treat at first for all the districts except Morlaix Saint Nicolas. But Madeline now gave up hope of retaining even that fortress and offered to evacuate San Domingo completely, and Toussaint accepted, keeping Houdeville scrupulously informed. Now, Toussaint, though carefully polite with Madeline, was at his most masterful, and Madeline proposed to him that, as part of the price of evacuation, the fortifications should be dismantled. Toussaint refused and demanded them in the conditions in which Madeline had found them. I flatter myself that you will adhere to this demand, and if not, I shall be constrained to break off negotiations, and Madeline agreed. But Madeline, after sending his envoy to Toussaint, sent another to Houdeville to make special arrangements, not for terms of evacuation, but for the actual transfer of Morlaix Saint Nicolas. And Madeline may or may not have meant mischief, and a few days afterwards, without the slightest trouble, a similar instrument was signed for the rendition of the fortress of Tiburon, after the entry of Regard's troops into Jeremy. And Houdeville said afterwards that Madeline did this to excite the jealousy of Toussaint. If so, his own conduct was all the more open to question. He knew that Toussaint was carrying on negotiations for the evacuation of the Morlaix with Madeline, but anxious to increase his own prestige, he sent the personal representative to the British commander of the fort and issued a proclamation granting an amnesty in the Toussaint manner. But the terms arranged were not satisfactory to Madeline. He repudiated them and informed Toussaint, who thus learned that Houdeville was carrying on negotiations with the enemy, commander-in-chief, behind his back. Toussaint, conscious that his own conduct had been faultless, attacked Houdeville without mercy. My frankness prevents me, citizen agent, from concealing that I have been sensibly affected by this lack of confidence. Either in direct contradiction of your authorization, without regard to my position as commander-in-chief of the army of San Domingo, without reflection, without even thinking it necessary to inform me, you send junior officers to treat, and you give them powers which annul my own. It seems to me, however, that according to military hierarchy, it is I, as the first chief of the army, who should have transmitted your orders to junior officers. And I would have preferred that you had declared to me openly that you thought me incapable of treating with the English. You would have saved me from the disagreeable necessity of contracting written engagements and giving my word of honor. And General Madeline, in asking to treat with me, has understood the military hierarchy. If he addresses himself to me as commander-in-chief, I recognize in you the representative of the nation, for I have only treated after having demanded your approval. And what have I done to merit this mistrust? He had Hooterville in the corner, and he did not spare him. But even then, he did not want to breach, and concluded by saying that if only Hooterville would have confided in him, together they could have saved the colony and make agriculture prosper. Make agriculture prosper. Hooterville blustered, boasted of all the things he had done and the army staffs on which he had worked, and said that Toussaint could not teach him as his duty. He did not know that how dangerous a game he was playing, and had Toussaint been merely an ambitious chief of brigands, France would have lost the colony in August of 1798. Even while Hooterville was so thoughtlessly prodding at the man on whose army and influence everything depended, the British, having failed to conquer Toussaint by force and arms, made a supreme effort to get him by that species of lies and deception known as diplomacy. Madeline, a prejudiced Englishman, did not think Toussaint very intelligent, but Madeline had seen that the blacks in San Domingo, now that they had military experience, organization, and leaders, were a match for any European expedition. And the French were certain to send an expedition to restore French authority, and a French army would bleed to death on the island. And Madeline, therefore, saw it as his business to make Toussaint as strong as possible in order that he might the more thoroughly defeat the French. He invited Toussaint to an interview, embraced him, paid him full military honors, reviewed the troops for him, and gave him magnificent gifts in the name of George III. And then proposed to him to make the island independent and rule it as the king. He assured him of British protection, a strong squadron of British frigates, and would be always in the harbors or on his coast to protect them, and asked in return, for the exclusive trade with the island. The Americas also were building up a good trade for San Domingo, and Madeline had sent an American envoy to Toussaint, and it was certain that they would come in with the British, Sharp as was the divergence between himself and Hooterville, Toussaint refused, and he, like Regard, had enough power to sway his supporters to his will. Now, France was powerless, and he would have gotten all the support and resources he needed from Britain, and his refusal is the measure of the difference between himself and Regard. The British, he knew, would make the alliance, and then when he had broken with France, either come to terms at his expense with France, or with their strong squadron of frigates, designed for Toussaint's protection, blockade the island, overthrow him, and restore slavery. Toussaint would have none of it, and Madeline's letters show. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. All right. Madeline's letters show it is true that he realized, as so many of the French who knew the island realized, that the Negroes in San Domingo were a power, and the British were going to keep their bargain for the sake of British honor, but also because they could not do otherwise. But as soon as peace was declared, it would be a different story, and this is not in any way speculative. Before the end of the year, Madeline actually wrote this to Dunbus to be quite sure that the intended treachery should not miscarry. It may not be necessary for me to add that the instant peace takes place, my whole view of this subject would at once be changed, and it was necessary. Dunbus would understand. To avoid any shadow of misunderstanding, Madeline continued. To diminish the French power and to stop the greater evil of the French Directory getting into the hands of the means San Domingo would afford them of annoying us, and it would be well to submit to the smaller evil of during the war supporting the assumed power of Toussaint. But on the restoration of peace and anything like the settled government in France, both with a view to the restoration of the original colonial system if that is practicable, practicable, now practicable, if that is practicable, and with the view of to let France waste her means and the men and money that this attempt, and it was in the best tradition of the way in which the higher civilization uplifts the backward people, but Toussaint merely expressed his regrets and declined with thanks. Such is history. But if that were all, it would be unreadable. And along with the material resistance that to Maitland's debased concept of human life and the unashamed savagery of himself and his highly placed instructors, is to be noted the elevated principles by which the ex-slave guided his profoundly practical life. Toussaint was then, as always, devoted to the French Republic, and this devotion will in the end lead him to an ultimately and cruel death. An untimely and cruel death, my bad. But it gave him a splendid life, and to all the blacks, revolutionary France, which had decreed equality and the abolition of slavery, was a beacon among the nations. And France was to them indeed the mother country. And Toussaint, looking always to the development of the blacks as a people, did not want to break with France, its language and tradition and customs, to join the slave-holding British. He would be faithful to France as long as France was faithful to the blacks. But the war prevented France from sending supplies to the colony, and he arranged a secret convention with Maitland whereby goods should come to certain selected ports in British and American ships to be paid for by San Domingo produce. More he would not do. When Balcarres learned that Maitland was evacuating San Domingo completely, he wrote to the home government protesting. The reply was a masterpiece, and after detailing at great length the various advantages of evacuation, it concluded with unanswerable resignation. There was nothing else to be done. And both on the battlefield and in the council chamber, Toussaint had outmaneuvered the British generals as he had outmaneuvered the Spaniards, getting all that he required at the least possible cost to himself. This was the end of the ill-fated expedition to San Domingo. And after long and careful thought and study, says Fortescue, I have come to the conclusion that the West Indian campaign, both to windward and to the leeward, which were the essence of Pitt's military policy, cost England in army and navy little fewer than 100,000 men, and about one half of them died, the remainder permanently unfitted for service. For the sake of the few barren islands still held by the British, England's soldiers had been sacrificed, her treasure squandered, and her influence in Europe weakened, her arm for 6 fateful years fettered and paralyzed. Now, Fortescue does not seem to realize that Pitt and Dundas were playing for the finest colony in the world and rich market for the otherwise unprofitable slave trade. Fortescue blames everything and everybody, and Pitt and Dundas were incompetence, the climate, the fever. The fever killed many more men than the blacks and the mulattoes did. But we have seen with what poor resources and against with internal intrigues Toussaint fought. San Domingo was not the first place where European invaders had met fever. It was a decree of abolition, the bravery of the blacks, and the ability of their leaders that had done it, and the great gesture of the French working people towards the black slaves against their own white ruling class had helped to save their revolution for reactionary France. For reactionary Europe, my bad. Now, held by Toussaint and his raw levies, singing the Marseillaise and the C.L.R, Britain, the most powerful country in Europe, could not attack the revolution in France. And the secret of England's impotence for the first 6 years of the war may be said to lie in the 2 fatal words, Saint Domingo. Now, Houellebecq knew all this, and none would know it better than he. But for him, the expulsion of the British was merely another good reason. Turn it back to 20. Was another good reason why Toussaint should be got rid of at once, and France wanted her authority restored in the colony. That was politics, and there is no gratitude in politics, but Toussaint was a Negro and a former slave, and now that he had won back the colony from them, Houdeuville and his staff not only intrigued against him, but grossly insulted him, and Toussaint often wore a handkerchief tied around his head. And some of them boasted that with 4 men, they could go into the camp of the old monkey with the handkerchief and capture him. Not only did Toussaint hear it, but it began gradually to be rumored among the black masses that the agent and his staff were hostile to Toussaint. And whoever was hostile to Toussaint was hostile to the blacks. And yet, it is curious and characteristic of Toussaint that the most bitter subject of quarrel was the immigrant whites, and with Toussaint, the ex-slaves taking their side, and Houdeuville, the former nobleman, attacking Toussaint for protecting them. Now, Room also recommended conciliation with the immigrants, but he advised the Directory to scrutinize carefully all the planters and allow only those who had rid themselves of their former prejudice to come back to the colony. Toussaint, however, invited back all who would take the oath of fidelity, and perhaps, in addition to their valuable knowledge and education, he felt that they would cease to intrigue and plot for the restoration of slavery only if they could come back and found it possible to enjoy their property. He needed them more now more than ever to counterbalance the power of the mulattoes, and some of these immigrants, commanding Negro troops hired by the British, had been excluded from the original amnesty. But Toussaint knew that San Domingo cultivation needs these blacks. Knew that Matlin was going to take the blacks straight to Jamaica, where they would find themselves enslaved, and Matlin was prepared to treat for them if their officers were also accepted, and Toussaint agreed. Houdeuville accused him of protecting the enemies of the Republic, and Toussaint referred to the amnesty authorized by him and special circumstances of these immigrant officers. Now, Toussaint, a sincere Catholic, had pardoned some immigrants who swore fidelity after the church service, and Houdeuville accused him of breaking the Republican law, which forbade official association with religion. The bickering being continuous, Toussaint resigned his post as commander-in-chief, and what he's feeling where we can judge from his letter to Houdeuville when the letter refused to pronounce on the resignation. This is, with perhaps one exception, the most astonishing of the voluminous and astonishing correspondence of this uneducated ex-slave, who, until he was 45, 6 years before, had probably never received a letter, far less written one. There was no need for you to quote me your instructions to recall to me your worth and dignity. It is sufficient for me to know that you are sent by France to hold you in veneration. I respect too much the Directory of which you are the agent not to respect you in person and covet your appropriation. The proofs of confidence with which the Directory has honored me are too precious to make me desire yours to the same degree. But it is because these sentiments are profoundly engraved in my heart. It is because your esteem and your confidence are infinitely precious to me, that justly alarmed at the fear of losing them, I found it necessary to show you my despair. Now, faithful to my duty and my principles, I could only attribute the misfortune which has befallen me to the perfidious maneuvers and of intriguers against me, personally and against peace and order. If I have asked permission to retire, it is because, having honorably served my country, having snatched it from the hands of powerful enemies who fought for possession of it, having extinguished the fires of intestine war to which it was for long a prey, having to long forgotten of a cherished family to which I have become a stranger, and having neglected my own interests, sacrificed my time and my years to the triumph of liberty, I wish now to save my old age from an insult which would shame my children. I would feel it the more inasmuch as I shall know that I have not deserved it, and I shall certainly not survive it. I do not conceal from you that, as you seem to be delaying indefinitely to accede to my request, I shall make it to the directory itself. Men in general are so inclined to envy the glory of others, and are so jealous of good which they have not themselves accomplished, that a man often makes himself enemies by the simple fact that he has rendered great service. The French Revolution has furnished many examples of this terrible truth, and many great men have expiated in exile or on the scaffold of services that they have rendered to their country. And it would be imprudent for me to remain any longer exposed to the shafts of calumny and malevolence. An honorable and peaceable retreat in the bosom of my family is my sole ambition, and there, as it the head of my armies, I shall always be ready to show a good example and give the best advice. But I have learned too much of the heart of man not to be certain that it is only in the bosom of my family that I shall find happiness. These words surely came from the heart, and Von Blanc and the others, being in Guyana, had no immediate fear of slavery. He saw that Houteuville might dismiss him. To resist would have meant civil war, and against regard also. My conduct for some time, and above all since your interview with General Regard, has been a continual infraction of the law. And rather than face a civil war purely for his personal position, he preferred to go. Houteuville had been rubbing it in to him that though commander-in-chief, he was subordinate to the agent. And I know your powers, wrote Toussaint. That is why I address my resignation to you. And if I had not known them, you would have taught them to me by ceaselessly reminding me that you can dismiss me, which makes me think you very much want to do so. It was no bluff. He sent the secretary to the directory to arrange the terms of his retirement, and the English were not yet 6 months out of San Domingo. And Toussaint was drinking the cup to the dregs, but even then, as the letter shows, he was not thinking in any way of the independence of the colony. He would retire, and if any attempt were ever made on liberty for all, he would be there. It was the San Domingo masses that saved him. Houteuville was making arrangements with the directory to supersede him and the black generals and put 3 white generals in their place. But he dared not to do it. So great was the unrest in the country and in the army. Houteuville tried to introduce a system of apprenticeship of the laborers to the owners of periods of 6 and 9 years of a stupidity which the British were to repeat with the resounding ill success after the emancipation of the slaves in their own colonies in 1833. The blacks might have taken that from Toussaint or Santenax, not from Houteuville, and the army had not been paid, despite Toussaint's urgent pleas, and it resented its neglect and the attacks on its general. Fears for the black liberty began to grow. Now, Houteuville claimed that Toussaint and the generals were spreading calumnies against him among the laborers, and he wanted them, like good French citizens, to sit quietly while, now that he had no use for them, he arranged for their dismissal and once more put black men where they belonged. The unrest increased. Houteuville began to realize where he would find himself without Toussaint, and he asked Toussaint to address a circular to to address a circular to the commandants of the districts to quiet the blacks and turn them from their alleged intentions to rise and massacre the whites. Toussaint repudiated this aspersion on the character of the laborers, and while he addressed the required circular, he dissociated himself from the idea that the blacks were only awaiting an opportunity to massacre the whites. Houterville now tried to recover lost ground with Toussaint, and he made overtures through friends, and Toussaint replied in kind, but held himself stiffly aloof. Houterville wanted to restore the civil authority as the controlling force, and was naturally in immediate conflict with Toussaint's generals. Now, Toussaint had disbanded some of the troops, and they had gone back to work willingly, but Houterville was disbanding Negro troops and confiding the care of the coast only to white troops. The blacks looked on with intense suspicion, and Houterville was not Laveau or Santenax. The blacks did not care for anything he had done in La Vendée. He addressed a sharp reprimand to Mouzé, and unjustly, and Mouzé replied as sharply. And the country was in that state of tension when any incident could cause an insurrection, and Toussaint would not go to Le Cap. He told Houterville that he had been informed that his life was not safe there, and Houterville asked him to go to Fort Liberté, where Mouzé was stationed, to quiet unrest, and Toussaint found an excuse for delay. If Houterville wanted the to govern, well, let him govern. And suddenly, a private quarrel broke out among the garrisons at Fort Liberté while Mouzé, the commander, was away. The soldier representatives of the laborers got into conflict with the municipality, consisting chiefly of the mulattoes and the old free blacks. And the word from Toussaint would have restored order. And instead, Houterville sent another Negro, Mangenant, with authority to depose Mouzé and assume command. And certainly in law, Houterville had every right to dismiss Mouzé. But not only was the action unjustified, it was stupid. For Mouzé was, after Toussaint, the most popular man in the army, and was also Toussaint's nephew. Now Mouzé, returning to the fort, found Mangenant proclaiming his new commission. You cannot make war as I can, citizen Mangenant, You cannot make war as I can, citizen Mangenant, he told him. Take care, but Mangenant, with Houterville's commission, insisted on his rights, and the National Guard and a detachment of European troops opened fire. One of Mouzé's brothers was killed, and the other was captured, and Mouzé had to ride for his life. And as soon as Houterville heard of this, he dismissed Mouzé from the service and ordered that he should be captured, dead or alive. And when Toussaint heard that Houterville had dismissed Mouzé, he gave Dessalines orders to march on Le Cap and arrest Houterville. Now Toussaint had given the agent ample rope, and Houterville had hanged himself. And at first, he maintained a bold front, but Mouzé raised the black laborers on the plain. And as Houterville felt the noose tightening about his neck, he sent Colonel Vincent and the priest to Toussaint, seeking to patch up the quarrel. But Toussaint's mind was now made up, and he acted with his usual rapidity and decision. Intimate as he was with Vincent, he arrested and imprisoned him. He ordered a detachment to intercept 3 of Houterville's officers who served under Regard and were bringing letters. And they attempted resistance and were killed, and Toussaint then marched on Le Cap. Now Houterville did not wait for him, and already Dessalines' troops were pushing into the outskirts of the town. And Houterville issued proclamation denouncing Toussaint as a traitor and fled on board of a boat in the harbor. Toussaint, arriving in Le Cap, invited Houterville to come ashore, but Houterville declined and left for France. I bet you coward. That boy was running. That boy was running. Toussaint, arriving in Le Camp, invited Houterville to come ashore, but Houterville declined and left for France with about 1,000 functionaries, whites, mulattoes, and former free blacks who detested Toussaint and his ex-slave generals. The municipality and the citizen hasted to welcome Toussaint and thank him for restoring order. And the Rubicon had been crossed. And the next day, in the public search at Fort Liberté, Toussaint boldly asserted his own authority. At the very moment when I have chased the English from the colony, Houterville chooses a Negro to destroy the brave General Musée and a 5th Regiment who have so much contributed to the evacuation of our enemies from the colony. It is they whom you wish to kill, and when you kill them, do you not know that there are thousands of brave blacks behind you who would have taken vengeance for the brave General Musée and the 5th Regiment? Don't you see that you expose all these unhappy Europeans and your wives and children to massacre? What would France say? I reinstate Musée in his former functions. Who reverts to the sword will perish by the sword. And Houterville says that I am against liberty, that I want to surrender to the English, that I wish to make myself independent. Who are to love liberty more? Toussaint Louverture, slave of Breda, or General Houterville, former Marquess, and Chevalier, there we go, and Chevalier de Saint Louis. If I wished to surrender to the English, would I have chased them away? And remember that there is only one Toussaint Louverture in San Domingo, and that is his name. Everybody must tremble. This was the new Toussaint. He had no wish to break with France, but Houterville, France's representative, had been a source of nothing but unrest and disorder. Hey-yo. Henceforth, he would govern, and that night he dined with Musée, and in a long monologue he expressed himself fully. It is one of the few occasions on which we get a glimpse into his mind, and Houterville has spread it that he is going to France to seek forces to come back. I do not want to fight with France. I have saved this country for her up to the present, but if she comes to attack me, I shall defend myself. General Houterville does not know that at Jamaica, there are in the mountains blacks who have forced the English to make treaties with them. And well, I am black like them, and I know how to make war. And besides, I have advantages that they didn't have. I can count on assistance and protection. Toussaint clearly meant the British, but although he knew that the English would leap at the chance to ally themselves with him, he would only form an alliance if the French attacked him. And finally, he told Musée and the others, I have been what I ought to do. I have done what I ought to do. I have nothing to reproach myself with. I laugh at whatever Houterville says, and I have come when he wants to, and he can come when he wants to. There is the same note of personal responsibility as when Santhanax was embarked. He worked alone, marking his decision, without the advice or assistance of anyone, and his officers, soldiers, and laborers followed him blindly. Where was he heading for? He did not know. His powerful mind, unaided by precedent or education, was slowly working out a satisfactory relationship with France, and whereby the connection would be maintained without benefit to both. And yet he would govern all of these commissioners, agents, and others could not govern. He would find it before long. But meanwhile, he sent Vincent to Rome in Santo Domingo, asking him to assume the position vacated by Houterville until instructions came from Paris. But Rome was already commissioner, and when Houterville left France, the director was so uncertain, directory was so uncertain of his reception and his future fate that a member of his staff was entrusted with a sealed packet to be opened only in case of his death or enforced absence from the island. And when it was opened, it contained Room's appointment. Just wait, I'm almost done. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rome was therefore installed as Houteuville's successor, and the faithful Vincent, who thoroughly approved of Houteuville's expulsion, was sent to Paris to present Toussaint's dispatches and explanations. And in his report, Toussaint accused Houteuville of serving the interests of the party which had been defeated on the 18th Fictador. Over and over again, he referred to this coup d'etat and the machinations of Von Blanc and the emigres haunted him and the black laborers of San Domingo. Now, Houteuville naturally reached Paris before Vincent, and from him the Directory learned that the colony was practically lost to France, and that there was only one chance of saving it: the export of sugar and coffee by English and American boats will make money flow in the colony, and he, Toussaint, will not fail to attribute this state of things to the wisdom of his government. I am no less convinced that sooner or later, this precious island will escape from French domination, and I do not take it on myself to propose the measure you will take to weaken the power of those who dominate it. But if the moment is not yet ripe for taking vigorous measures, it will perhaps appear to you important to create germs of division between them to embitter the hate which exists between the mulattoes and the blacks. Oh, he wanted to pull that damn Willie Lynch. And to oppose regard to Toussaint. I do not see my way to guarantee the purity of the intentions of the first, but in justice, to him, I can assure you that I have only praise for his conduct. You will have proof of his correct correspondence, and if I had been able to count entirely on him, I would not have hesitated to go to the South in spite of the uncertainty of sailing there without being interrupted by the English. Although race feeling remained, there was no hostility between Toussaint and Regard. And Houteuville's own words show that he deliberately created it, and even then was not sure of Regard. And before he laid the plan in front of the Directory, he had acted. And he had written a letter to Regard absolving him from all obedience to Toussaint and authorizing him to take possession of the districts of Léogane and Jacques-Mel, incorporated in the South by the previous decree not yet carried into effect. That, he hoped, would start the conflagration. What a word, conflagration. Conflagration. C-O-N-F-L-A-G-R-A-T-I-O-N. Conflagration. Conflagration.
Here's the definition of conflagration: an extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land or property.
That he hoped would start the extensive fire which destroys a great deal of land or property and keep it going until France was ready. That he hoped would start the conflagration and keep it going until France was ready. Houteuville and his superiors belonged to the same breed as Madeline and his, and uninhibited, they wallowed with zest in the filth and mire of their political conceptions and needs, and among the very leaders of their society, but nevertheless, the very dregs of human civilization and the moral standards. A historian who finds excuses for such conduct by references to the supposed spirit of the times, or by omission or by silence, shows thereby that his account of events is not to be trusted. Houteuville, after all, was a product of the great French Revolution. And Voltaire and Rousseau were household words and died before the revolution began. Jefferson, Cobbett, Tom Paine, Clarkson, and Wilberforce had already raised banners and were living lives which, at Madeline and his kind, made them into subversive enemies of society. There we go. They had their reasons, and so have their counterparts of today. They fill our newspapers and our radios. The types is always with us, and so are their defenders. And that finished off chapter 9. Man, we are halfway through the book. We have reached the halfway point. We have passed the halfway point over. Matter of fact, we have made it to chapter 10. Toussaint seizes the power. Oh, sounds like going to be another good chapter. Oh, yeah, man. Look how much we got left. Yeah, we way past half. We are way past halfway through the book. We're on a downslope now, baby. We have succeeded. We have succeeded in the agenda for today was to roll our way through chapter 9 and to get to chapter 10. We have made it. We have made it to chapter 10 of the Black Jacobins, the Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James, man, the sea of pages that he has laid before us. And we are ready to find the treasures that he has hidden in the depths of the pages. The depths, the depths. Shit. Man, you have all that you need to succeed, man. Let's do so. Let's do so. You have all that you need to succeed. Let's do so. Oh, I need to get ready to go fix what time it is. Yeah, I need to go make sure my boys are straight. But we'll go ahead and get your, hey, give me the 25 things or 30 things. Give me the 30 things. I'm going to do my 100. I'm going to do my 100 right quick and give you another 100 knees on this dummy until he say, please, Mr. Shalom, stop. Please, Mr. Shalom. But he'll never tell me that. That dummy will never tell me stop. So I can go as much as I want. But yeah, let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing one day at a time, one book at a time, man. One episode at a time. One part at a time. One page at a time. One paragraph at a time until we seek and find what treasures lie beneath. What lies can we expose? You know, what truths can we unearth in our stories? Let's make a revolution in our mind, an insurgency in our mind. Let's burn down the propaganda and the plantations that's built up in our mind. It's going to take some doing, but we can do so. Because if you have breath to breathe, then you have all you need to succeed. Man, if you have breath to breathe, you have all that you need to succeed. Let's move it. Let's do it. 30 things. Let's go. I'm going to give you 100. Let's go. Oh, Lord. Oh, my back, my knees, my back. Ooh. Let's make some shit happen, man. Oh. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Count down, another 50. Another 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 more. Let's go. Last 25, last quarter. Get that quarter in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh, 100. Did my 100. I gave y'all 100. 100 knees. Oh, man. I need that dummy 100 times. 100 times at the jump, 100 times at the end, man. It put me down for 200. I did 200 things. 200 things for this episode. I feel it in my stomach. Oh, but that's why I need to feel it. I should have did some jumping jacks to go with it. That's what I should have did. But it's time to go. It's time to go. I hope everybody has a wonderful night. I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Stay safe out there. Watch the weather. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself so that way you don't have to get ready. So you got to get ready when the shit start happening. Flashlights, batteries, just in case your lights go out. Have you some food stored up, whatever, just in case. You never know. You never know what can happen. But protect yourself, protect your family. Keep your head on the swivel. And next time, we'll come back next time and start off chapter 10 and roll through chapter 10 of The Black Jacobins, The Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing. And y'all keep pushing one day at a time. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. Catch me on the next go around of reading with SHILO. I'll come back tomorrow as well for Rise and Scripts. We'll most likely do that one early. I'm going to be up early tomorrow. I got to get up at 6. So when I get up at 6, hey, I'll come and read Rise and Scripts. Till then, shalom. I'm out here. SHILO out.
So what's up?